Good afternoon, good evening, dear friends. Online class devoted to studies of the Secret Doctrine by H.P. Blavatsky. The second season starts, and today is the second class. The online class started only in 2021, and in 2022 now we've just opened the second creative season. Do you know that interest towards materials of the Secret Doctrine in the online classes in our time is great all over the world, and during this time, many theosophists have joined us, as well as those who have interest in studies of the Secret Doctrine by H.P. Blavatsky, many young scientists from the Russian Federation, Moldova, Belarus, Ukraine, Canada, the Great Britain, Australia, the USA, Bolivia, Nigeria, India, the Philippines, Japan, Pakistan, Lebanon, Norway, Mexico, Turkey, Estonia, Indonesia, Finland, Spain, Turkey, the Netherlands. There is a vast geography in this time of those who've seen the seminars, who are impressed by our online classes devoted to the studies. All videos, both Russian and English language ones, have been seen by more than 7,000 people in all this time. It means that the interest towards the Secret Doctrine is there, and it cannot but make us happy. Today, we are starting the Secret Doctrine Stanza 1, Sloka 3. And from the very beginning of the study, it's crucial that we understand what is the structure of the Secret Doctrine all in all. The first volume of the Secret Doctrine and the first three stanzas have many abstract notions, and we always mention that. Of course, their meaning can be found in the Theosophical Dictionary by Madame Blavatsky, and we can get to know what they mean. But as for now, these abstract notions and images are not specific images for our consciousness. And till that point, there will be no understanding, or we can say there will be no life, or that state of space that is described in the II Stanzas of this period of evolution. For us, it can all be still very mechanical or far away from us. It's so important that we feel it, that we not only feel but think about it, we contemplate, we understand. Of course, we focus our attention on the II Stanza itself, on the commentaries by HPB, because these commentaries help to assess these images, make them come together in the singular structure or system. We should understand that Madame Blavatsky doesn't write anything in vain in the commentaries. And if there is any information there, it means that it's for something, it's needed, and it's crucial. Therefore, we need to have perseverance, focus, and understanding of the general structure. We should study, we should go deeper, penetrate the structure, the essence, and use this information to feel alive. Of course, it's individual contemplation, individual work, first of all, individual creative capacities of each of us while preparing in the Slokas, and as the next online class is there, we get many letters, emails, reports, questions in the social network, in the chat, and many people ask meanings of notions, ask for recommendations for studies of the Secret Doctrine, etc. And many say that it's so abstract, these notions are that abstract that it's almost impossible to discuss them. Of course, it's so, but our task is to make them closer to our understanding so that they're alive for us as the breathing, as we breathe without noticing the rhythm of breathing. And these notions, as we focus on them, as they become alive, this general structure is there. They start breathing, and you cannot notice that. It's natural for them how they affect our consciousness. And by this image, by this understanding, we could look at the world by different eyes, because the person who has understood it can perceive any event of the world, no matter how tragic or happy it is in the period of time we're living through. There's been questioned to us, how can we mention the absolute and speak of it if Madame Blavatsky always uses this absolute with non-preface? We understand that if we study it, if we reflect on this notion, then we understand that the non-manifested state, which is now, the non-manifested state of the greatest principle that will be manifested with time. And right now, we're just adapting our consciousness to the point when it will be manifested, and it's needed so that we understand what it is when we see it. We strengthen this connection to it, and our consciousness, therefore, is ready to perceive this energy, information, and any events of this world. If you know, every time we meet the description that was not in the Sloka, we should guess that once it will come. And we should address the cause. The cause is always invisible. Only the effect is visible. And in the online class, we'll try all together to come from different angles to studies of the third sloka, so that the impetus that is probably possible to give can help us understand one part of this sacred knowledge. And if it happens, it means that we're together at the level of consciousness, at the plane of consciousness. Dear friends, greetings to everyone who's joined, our guests from other countries. Thank you for being with us. And thank you for our constant listeners from the Russian Federation. Today, interpreters Alexander Bobko and Ksenia Persova are with us. Thank you for the preparation, for the work you've done. Thank you, technical support of the seminar, for cooperation and realization of the project. Thank you for to everyone who's joined the seminar, and thanks for the interest towards the studies of the Secret Doctrine. So today we are studying Stanza 2, Sloka 3. The hour had not yet struck, the ray had not yet flashed into the germ, the Matripadma had not yet swollen, and we live this day through particular energies on Nidanas, and every coming day is unique because it does not repeat. Therefore, today's thoughts that can be spoken in energies of these days can be spoken in a particular manner according to combination of Nidanas and the Kalachakra wheel. And I'm giving the floor to Mr. Yari, the head of Adamant Lodge. Greetings to everyone who's come and who wishes to study the Secret Doctrine. I'll start by the fact that we're already done with the first stanza. And there is an important point here. Firstly, there are the planes of being, the spheres Madame Blavatsky has noted, and these planes of being have been revealed as the sacred manuscripts. Every manuscript contains necessity of this plane. We can say the 7 veils of Mula Prakriti were para-Brahmanism. So these planes, these veils, were supposed to form, or we can say multiply potentialities before the form, put them together with all these potentialities being there in the first II stanza. In all the slokas, all the potentiality is there. And all this potentiality is in its Rubicon that was supposed to correspond to the next step. Potentiality was supposed to become noumenon, and noumenon was supposed to become phenomenon. This row was as a ladder, and it's supposed to be so in our understanding of this knowledge of the Secret Doctrine. But as more than once we've read the Secret Doctrine and studied it for so many years, the planes of being are like in a circle for us. And it can be presented as this image, as the good law, the Kalachakra calendar. It has one more name. We can say it's movement of the being laws that develop capacity of our consciousness to achieve the Bodhisattva state. It includes Hinayana and Mahayana. That is the vast teaching. Finally, as we understand, given by Madame Blavatsky, who has adopted all the system that is ancient and needed all the time at every stage when humanity goes into the next race. It means that from the start of transfer from the 5th race to the 6th race, there are so many calendars like this, and the Aquarius era gives us such an opportunity for our consciousness and mind to be expanded to the limits where we could contain the sacred knowledge for the next stage for the human consciousness to develop, where the 6th race is, where the 5th race of humanity. And we should become the seeds for that. If looking at the Secret Doctrine, stanza 2, Sloka 3, like that, then we'll see it says there is the future germ that should be put there by this white ray. Why is the ray white? Neither male nor female, androgynous ray that has the future one in all its potentiality inside, the future reflection that will become through the germ that will swell as Matripadma. This germ will swell in the bosom of the world. It means it's cosmos, the cosmic germ. It means that in a similar manner, there is the germ of the future spiritual person, human being that will be further defined as Adam Kadmon, Jesus Christ, Buddha. This is the germ in humanity, or humanity. That will come to now and we'll definitely have to understand the analogy. And HPB brings us to that. Speaking of cosmos and a human being, which is, she says, the same purpose of the evolution process, development of the cosmic consciousness, as well as the human being that has to put inside the cosmic consciousness for the single purpose of evolution or creation. That is why, here is the point, in the second stanza, Sloka 3, the thought of the day is the following. Those who prefer to swim in the waters of their ignorance and to go down very low need not exert the body or heart. They need only cease to move, and they will surely sink. The conclusion that can be drawn is absolutely that every person should be responsible in relation to himself or herself and make these conclusions. Where he or she goes next. We're at the crossroads where one era flows into another, and where the person at this crossroads is supposed to make conclusions and to understand what next, what is being. Who is this person and the being? What is the purpose of being for him? So these are the questions that are there, that are like snow falling on the head of a person. And these questions are numerous and they require answers. And those of you and those who noted that you should definitely move to achieve something. We should move our consciousness, understands that we should awaken the consciousness. Then the consciousness will expand. All the ignorance of the person, all the stereotypes in mind should be destroyed by knowledge and capacity to get the knowledge. Where is this capacity in our mind? Here is the structure according to the planes of being. Sloka 2 is the second plane that reveals the spirit beyond forms. That is the plane of absolute character of the mind. There are no forms, only potentialities. The third sloka says that is the state of the plane, and the potentiality is nothing but the thing that will allow our consciousness to awaken. And for awakening, our consciousness needs the nidana of monkey. Because at this plane of being, we can see two nidanas, tiger and dragon. Dragon is the symbol of the century where we are right now, the white dragon. And the tiger is the symbol of the year we are right now. And stanza and the third sloka can be considered according to this plane, and this third performance of this plane, this third performance is the first one at the plane of mind, the second plane of being. That is the plane of the mind and capacity of the mind is for that to become power, to be capable of reflecting reality. The first layer of mirror, ideal character of the mind, absolute character of the mind, it's nothing but the power of beauty. That is like feeling of beauty in the person further is capable of reflecting reality. If we see the Kala chakra, then the first principle here, the first principle of the divine mind in the constellation of Taurus is the black monkey, which is the symbol of the human being, because it reflects actually the sixth creation. The sixth creation is the Buddhic one, divine one, or the spiritual consciousness, because Buddhi is the spiritual consciousness. The spiritual consciousness can only be opened by the sense of beauty, the synthesis of the great harmony. It means that monkey is the feeling which can be only born by consciousness. But when does it feel? It feels when the mind is calm, when there is silence. When presence of this silence is there, when we're trying to hear it, and the sense of beauty allows us to hear the voice of silence of our mind. And then the capacity to reflect reality awakens, because the mind is awakened, and the capacity to reflect reality is where the sense of beauty is required, the divine person is required. It means the state of mind should be so, and in this state of mind, we're capable of hearing the divine one. Do you understand that? Third stanza mentions such things, and HPB therefore says that it's the cosmic evolution similar to the human being evolution. But now I'm speaking of black monkey because it's in the cross with the year of the black tiger. And the black tiger is today's year. And opposite to it is the black monkey, or the joy in response. Let's imagine.
And when we understand the second stanza and the third shloka, which begins its work in the form of beauty and harmony, it's the ability of the calm mind to reflect the reality. And then when it reflects this year, our year, in the star combination of Scorpio, in the waters that I was talking about, these waters are nothing else but the condensed ether. And the condensed ether is the female nature. It's water and ether. They're condensed. It's the nature of female. There are two powers within it. The power of fire, which is the condensate of ether in the material, and the waters of the material in the existence ground, they are nidans, and they are presented by the female and male principles. Tiger is the male principle, and it has the condensate of the ether. It's within the waters of life, and the black hair is another principle, and it needs that energy, the energy of the spiritual human being, so that the knowledge of the spirit will be presented, and the feeling, the sense of beauty will be the opposite to the black tiger. The black monkey reflects the power of reality, the power of the mind that can reflect the characteristics of the spiritual human being, which was born in the black tiger. What does this energy come through? This energy of beauty is the beauty of the spiritual human being, the beauty of mind, and the beauty of the ability to reflect the reality. It's within the fiery energy, which comes through the future, the potential ether. It's the black monkey. It's reflected in the birth of the black tiger and going through the fiery nature of the snake, of the red snake, and the red boar, which symbolizes the snake. The snake is the consciousness, the mind of the spirit. And also it's the consciousness of the spirit, and together they create the understanding of the spirit. And when this ray goes from the sense of beauty, from the monkey, and when it goes through the spirit of consciousness and understanding, that's how the spiritual human being is created. That's the birth of the spiritual human being. And in response, we get the happiness. And when the station is applied and when it's understood by the laws of the existence, all the connections that are reflected in Nidan, we start to understand why and for what Elena Petrovna Blavatsky gives us the examples and explains that cosmos and human beings are united. Indeed, it's impossible to talk about the absolute until the human being can reflect this absolute by the spiritual human being that is being born this year. The ability of this year opens up this station, this second Xi'an station, and it's opened by silence, and the sense of beauty can give birth to the human consciousness. We have awoken the human consciousness, and Elena gives us the thought of the day. We made the choice through the awakeness of our consciousness, and Xi'an station comes to light. It's the feeling of calmness, and it's impossible to talk about it. And we've acquired the knowledge, the wisdom, and at this plane, this ground of the existence, we've noticed that there is the presence of the tiger and the dragon, and now we understand why the tiger, the birth of the spiritual human being, can reflect the reality of this plane of existence. It can be reflected through the wisdom of the dragon. There are two principles, the tiger and the dragon. They are at the existence plane, and now we know why they're there. It goes without saying that when we write about the cycles of the existence, when we determine the nidanas, when we understand the cross of life, both of human beings and cosmos, will see that the spiritual cross of the circle of the wheel of life, it demonstrates the reality. By zodiac signs, as they can be found in the era of Aquarius. The symbol of Aquarius is the blue monkey, and I've already talked about the blue monkey. Also, we have the star combination of the lion. Just the opposite, on the opposite side, we can see the tiger. Also, the star combinations of the Taurus, and there we can see the snake, and that's the Hierophant of the sector. And also, we can see within the star combination of Scorpio, the boar, or in other words, the consciousness of human beings. The consciousness that should be born here is the spiritual consciousness that determines the birth of the spiritual human being. And that's how the cross with hierophants gives us another opportunity, the chance to understand and see what the what stanza 2, Sloka 3 means. And we determine the era as the establishment, the creation of the new astral human being with the new characteristics, with a new feeling or senses that require the understanding and the acceptance of the psychic energy, which is the thought. And the blue monkey tells us about the harmony of thought, about the beauty of thought. And taking into consideration this sense of beauty, we are able to have the beauty of thought. The astral body is created in order to be able to reflect its, express its thoughts and feelings through the beauty of thought. And that is the process of creation. And that requires the cosmic essence of the consciousness. And human beings, they become one with the fire of the air, with the cosmos. And that's how the humanity can evolve and enables the universe to evolve. The human beings, that way they create the universe. And I've already said that the creation, just before the sixth creation, that was the spiritual human being. And now we have the black rooster. It is Logos. It's the wisdom that gives us the ability, that gives the impetus to the evolution processes, to the creation. When human beings will start creating, they'll have the tools to create, to continue creating the universe, because the evolution of the universe is happening with the help of human beings. What kind of human beings? Only wise human beings that can bear responsibility for the energy that was given to them by the nature. And through this process, human beings start cooperating with the magnet of the universe, which can be found in the hierarchy of light. And within this evolutionary flow, the sixth race human being, the new human being, will be able to express the grain, which is the fifth humanity, which has all the potential of the disciple. By learning how to create, the disciple is now able to create, because he knows what it means to learn. And the learning ability enables human beings to open the door to the creator, to the spirit of consciousness. based on the feelings and all the knowledge. Without these characteristics, without the heart and the consciousness and the mind, there is no true creator. The next combination is the age of the white dragon. Dragon is already in the system that I mentioned to you. In accordance with the existence plane, the dragon is white. It carries the synthetic wise thought, which has nidans. We have the white dog. The white dog symbolizes the strength, the stubbornness of the human nature. The blue bull demonstrates the implementation of plans, and just opposite it, we can see the nidan, the implementation of the pure thought, the thought that is the synthetic quality, the synthetic characteristic of the ray. And that's how we get close to the nirvana, to the principle of the wheel of time. It's the utmost equity, and it can be understood by the humanity, and that is nirvana, or love for dragon, because that's where the pureness is. We have the month of the white rooster. Again, it's a very important combination because the white rooster, first of all, it goes third in this combination of stars, and this combination, it's the third nidana, and the Irafat is the fiery dog. It's the combination of stars of Sagittarius. It's a very important symbol here. Adinidana is the most synthetic quality of the potential of the future abilities that will create the spiritual human being. And within it, there are all the six powers. It's the ability of energies of the highest Manos and its pureness to create the spiritual human being, or to give birth to such a human being, to lay the foundation to this birth, to lay the foundation for the consciousness, so that the tiger would be able to create the spiritual human being. But starting from the fiery goat in this Sagittarius sector, we can say that monkey is beauty, goat is love, and only after that we can see the beauty, and the symbol of beauty is the rooster. The sun starts shining, the consciousness comes to light by the ability to learn about ourselves, to learn about the cosmos, about the nature, about the human beings. In other words, it's the reason, the cause of the existence. And this month enables us to understand the causes of the existence. And we are already explaining it. And we're explaining it during the course this month. And we have the week of the white mouse, and we're going back to the Libra sector. It's the week not only of the white mouse, but also within this week, we can see that here's the year, which was year 2010, or rather 2020. It was in 2020 when we have the white mouse as the symbol of the year. And we're getting back to this year, this week, but we are strengthening, accelerating the energy of the whole year. And that's the creation of the new karma, of the new fate. And this is another chance for us to establish the cause, that we as already spiritual creatures will use as a bridge to enter the new era of Aquarius. And indeed, the activities for our mind are going to be very significant. And the day of the white boar, it enables us to have the sum of everything within this spiritual human being. It's another quality. We can use the existence plane, stanza 2, Sloka 3, use the crosses of life, the qualities that are close to the sense of beauty, to the spiritual human being, and we can use all that because in the future it can cause the sense of the dogma I. Just imagine, even that is possible. And those who understood, they know about it. And in this sense, the absolute can become something completely impossible to understand. And probably that is why we shouldn't talk about the absolute. But I'm just giving you the analogy. And through the analogies, you'll come to the absolute, to the understanding of the absolute. And the day is favorable for us to come closer to the understanding of stanza 2, Shloka 3, taking into account the thought of the day. We're making the choice to awaken our consciousness. We don't give up. We get away from the pressure we get away from the feeling of hopelessness. We're ready today to raise our shield of the spirit. Thank you.
Thank you so much for this detailed report. And there's so many feelings coming when we're in Nidana as they combine and come together that affects the state we're talking about. And I had the thought that every time we're speaking of that, we start understanding significance of every moment. It means that there are properties of bringing energies of the day to the general concentration with the slokas and thought of the day of Madame Blavatsky. We learn how to appreciate every moment because it feels that there's so many principles and combinations in this moment, and they are combined, they affect each other and they affect each and every of us. Therefore, we don't only appreciate every moment with our thoughts and actions and words, but we appreciate all of that because any moment cannot be repeated. And with the flow of this being, a new moment is already new nidana and new state and new thought. Thank you so much for the introductory part and for this story of energies that we could feel specifically today, starting stanza 2, Sloka 3 of the Secret Doctrine by Madame Blavatsky. We've prepared a presentation for you where we've tried to concentrate some crucial points that seemed the most interesting ones to us by penetrating information given by Madame Blavatsky in the commentaries, and probably these thoughts are confirmed by Agni Yoga by Madame Roerich, the instruction for the inner group of students by Madame Blavatsky, books of the great William Quinn George, the Theosophical Dictionary, the Key to Theosophy, or all books by Madame Blavatsky and the Rerich family. They reveal the notions from different angles, and as we study the material and see these various thoughts, they all come into the single combination, and it gives us power to see. It's clear to us. If it's clear, then we have a wish to share this joy and admiration, these revelations. That's what we'll try to do today. I'll wish success today in studies of stanza 2, Sloka 3, Дзyan. That is the following. The hour had not yet struck, the ray had not yet flashed into the germ, the Matripadma had not yet swollen. And the first thing we face here is the notion of the hour. The hour had not yet struck. What is an hour? It is the unit of time, and usually the hour is considered to be 1/24th of the day. And I thought that this year we're in, 2022, reflects specifically this number, 2022, 24, the whole year, as the 24 hours, where there is the whole concentration of events put there in this 1 hour when it's combined, and then the hour strikes. All the events of 2022 are in such manner that we could understand that is the number we're in right now. The 13th of October gives the unity of 3, or the fourth part. And the fourth part, as we've studied a lot, is the inner change or the external changes. 24 means the double changes, and 4 is changes. We live through all these changes, through all these events for the whole year, and there is an opportunity to study the Secret Doctrine. So let's see, what are the philosophical teachings, religious ones, and creative schools where these great numbers were fixed. This great number of 24. Sloka starts with it. The hour had not yet struck. It means that 1/24th part of the day did not begin. There are 24 hours in a day. If we take chemistry, we'll see that combinations of 20 amino acids and 4 nucleotides in the DNA. In the sum, it makes 24. 24 elders mentioned by John the theologian in the book of the Revelation. There are 24 columns in the Egyptian temple of the sun. 24 is one of the cycles of the golden ratio, which is the nature and by which the nature creates. The frame rate in cinematography is 24 frames per second. 24 letters are there in the Greek alphabet. The traditional Chinese calendar divides the year into 24 seasons. And in music theory, we can see specifically 24 keys. Which ones? By use of that, we can see them as 24 preludes and fugues in each volume of Bach's well-tempered clavier. There are also 24 pieces in works of Chopin, Rachmaninoff, Shostakovich, and in children's album by Pyotr Ilyich Tchaikovsky. There are 24 potentially significant orbital levels in the solar system up to the closing planet of Pluto, and all organically living forms of the Earth that have a single genetic code. The alphabet consists of 24 so-called letters. It means that there are 20 amino acids and 4 nucleotides. and the proportions of DNA themselves are consistent with the golden ratio. The equinox cycle is also 24,000 solar years. The first old German runic system, Hutog, as it was called, contains 24 signs. The number of thrones around the God's throne and the revelation is 24. An elementary cell of a three-dimensional physical space or cube sticks its 8 vertices into the number of 24. 3 multiplied by 8 makes 24. The factorial of 4 is 24. It reveals another facet of the number 24 through the interpretation of the oath of Pythagoreans, who believed that the world is a number. In the Pythagorean oath, it said, "I swear by the name of the tetrad of 4 sent down to our souls, it is the source and roots of the ever-blooming nature." Why did the disciples of Pythagoras swear by the tetrad of 4? The essence of the tetrad is 4. It reveals the decade 10. That is, 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 makes 10. But there are 4 levels. And if we exchange addition by multiplication, 1 multiplied by 2 by 3 by 4, we get 24. It means that factorial of 4 or 24 or to 4 is equal to 24. 24, therefore, is the triumph of the tetrad. And Pythagoras was saying 4 is everything. 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 makes 10. It's the shortest path from the absolute 0 to the absolute. From 1 to 0 is the shortest path there. The number of 24, according to Pythagoras, 2 and 4 are the numbers of changes. In Agni Yoga, it's said, in the evening, dictating infinity, the number 24 is given. The Lord has confirmed what was indicated at night. 24 is our number, magnetic consonance. Ruswati knows that the most ardent denial lives next to enthusiastic recognition. There are many examples when the most ardent persecutors turned into the most devoted followers. It sounds as the above ground sound from Agni Yoga with the number 624. Therefore, we understand that the number of 24 is the greatest symbol, which used to have its manifestation in many teachings, works of composers, artists, philosophers, and writers. Coming back to the thought that 1 hour is 1/24th, we'll get to know that there is a way this notion of thought is being formed. 1/24th is 2 plus 4 makes 6, is 1 and 6, and 1 plus 6 makes up 7. 7 is the symbol of the ray, we know that. Therefore, how is this ray moving? How does it start its movement? We can follow it attentively. An hour is 60 minutes, or 3,600 seconds. 60 or 6 in 3,600 or 9. 986, it comes up. What is 9? 9 is movement of spirit into matter, materialization of spirit, and 6 is movement of matter into spirit or spiritualization of matter. In the sum, 6 plus 9 makes 15, equal to 6, symbol of the Matripadma or the heart, where ray, which is 7, descends. That is the trajectory of movement, how this 1/24th, the hour, which is 6, which is in the 7th movement, gets into Matripadma. If 6 plus 7 is 13, 13 in a sum, we get back to 4. 4, or the internal form, the point of transition from one state to another. Therefore, if we consider the hour and the clock on the dial, that is the arrow corresponding to number 12. That is the countdown of every hour. The arrow starts movement from 12 around the dial and finishes at 12. Once again, around the dial and finishes at 12. That is how the countdown of every hour starts. What is 12? 12 in sum is 3. 3 is the point of the drum. And if we check this internal form of ray penetrating Matripadma, to understand that it's 4 in the sum, and if we combine it to the point that is there in the sum, 3 plus 4, we can see the sevenfold nature. We can assume that the countdown of every hour is sevenfold. Therefore, we can assume that the hour had not struck yet. It means that there was no sevenfold nature, there was no spirit and no matter, no movement of spirit into matter as 6 and 9, and there was no 13, no internal form that was supposed to be manifested from the inside out. That is how this concentration and combination is there. The movements of the reported 12 as the dial hand of each hour are the compound of, and every hour starts from 12 and finishes by 12. We can say 12 and 12 makes up 24, and 24 makes up 6 in a sum, while 6 is Matripadma, is the symbol of Matripadma of heart, the eternal bosom egg of the universe will be there when the ray of the first logos penetrates the latent germ in Matripadma. The first key point that we can see from all this explanation in configuration of numbers, movement of rays, and explanations, that is, there was no time, it means that there was no point in the germ, no ray in Matripadma. There were no three components, point or germ, ray, and Matripadma were not there, and therefore Matripadma was not swollen. We see that there is ray or germ, a ray germ in Matripadma. A ray of eternal darkness becomes a ray of brilliant light or life and flashes into the germ, a point into the world back. It will happen when Matripadma swells or becomes filled with vital energy, which can take this ray into the germ. That is the state that can be defined the start of movement as soon as Matripadma swells and becomes filled with a vital energy, which is ready to accept the ray into the germ. Only then this movement will be started and the hour will strike. As long as this germ can be imagined as atom, what is it? Atom is nominal or eternal indestructible matter, and the point is matter in its abstract sense. The germ is the totality of atoms, is the nominal of the eternal indestructible mother. And if the point is the symbol of matter, and the ray is the symbol of the spirit, then this twofold creative power of the matter and power on the material plane is Padma. Padma, that is one of the oldest and most important sacred symbols in the form of the lotus flower in the South and Southeast Asia. It's revered in Hinduism, Buddhism, and Jainism. And what's crucial, we found that initially the lotus flower, the symbol, used to be the symbol of the sun, or the lotus and the sun was single symbol. The sun is the creative power giving life to everything there on earth. So that was meaning of this symbol before, and we thought that if lotus is the sun in one symbol, why not consider the symbol of the sun? The cycle of the sun is 11. We know that. What is 11? 11 is the golden ratio, the two identical beams that are completely reflected in each other. They have the same value, 1 and 1. If 1 multiplied by 1 makes 1, that is the spiritual cross, and the golden ratio has the single first light. And if we add 1 to 1, mathematically, we'll get 2. That is the physical cross is there, the duality of the physical world. It means that the cycle of the sun, in its meaning of the spiritual cross, has full reflection and the first light of both undifferentiation of the symbol of lotus that has in its potential full reflection of the whole nature of life. And as a guest, it goes into the physical or material world. So lotus, as Madame Blavatsky writes, is a product of heat, fire, and water, steam, or ether. If the spirit is the male incipient active principle, then the soul of matter, ether, is the light of fire, is the female passive principle from which everything in this universe originated. Therefore, we can see that either water is the mother, while the fire is the father. In the lotus seed, there are perfectly formed leaves and a miniature view of the future finished plant. Therefore, nature gives a sample of the preliminary design of its works. Lotus is the favorite symbol of the cosmos and man. It symbolizes the life of the cosmos and man. The lotus grows in water, having its root in mud, and spreads its flower over the water in the air. The lotus root immersed in mud reveals material life. The stem which goes up through the water symbolizes existence in the astral world, while the flower floating over the water and open to the sky is a symbol of the spiritual existence. If we consider by planes of being this image of understanding the symbol of lotus, we'll see that here from the start to the end, it corresponds to the planes. When there is a sacrifice to the external, then the internal opens to the higher. This is how the lotus flourishes. That is how Matripadma was not swollen yet.
In the symbolism, this form must sacrifice itself to the non-form, or the external must pass into the internal. The Matripadma must swell, the vitality and energy appear in order to receive the ray in the germ, and then it will blossom or unfold from the inside out. That is the mystery, and then the unmanifested becomes manifested. We can see it in the doctrine notion. I mean, the manifested and the unmanifested. The point in the circle is the unmanifested logos. The triangle is the manifested logos. It is reflected in its threefold nature. As for the point in the triangle, there are things that never get manifested. What are those things? Monad never manifests. She lives in seclusion, but when the hour strikes, it emits 1, the first number. In the process of descending, this number turns into 2 and turns into 3, forming a triangle. And that is the first completed geometric figure. That's what Pythagoras said. Then the key point is that it is this ideal or abstract triangle that is the point in the world egg, which after the maturation period comes out of the egg at the third stage, and by doing so forming a real triangle. The third shloka corresponds to the potential third stage of appearance or the exit of a point into a triangle. And the ideal abstract triangle becomes real. The third shloka corresponds to the third stage of manifestation. The first logos is the potentiality. It's the undisclosed reason. And the second logos is still a hidden thought. And the third logos, or demiurge, is the active will. It becomes a cause at the lower level. But we are still in pralaya, and as they say in the Secret Doctrine, it's the eternal darkness, but the eternal darkness has its own description. The Secret Doctrine gives us the opportunity to see what's behind the eternal darkness with the help of Yelena Blavatsky, who wrote in the first book of the Secret Doctrine. She suggested that we look at this great interconnection. The eternal darkness is the Parabrahman. Even the Logos can only see Mula Prakriti, but isn't able to look behind the curtain. As for geometry, let's look at the circle level. The surface is black, the point in it is potentially white, and this point is the first connection that's available to our mind with the invisible Logos. That is the greatest interconnection that we can follow and have in our mind as the highest point for meditation, and follow this highest point. Elena Ivanovna says it's important to teach children so that they would follow the highest purpose, not the lowest purpose, because by following the lowest purpose, and it's a terrible disease of the current age of our times, following the lowest urges, when this image disappears, is liquidated until it no longer exists. Every thinking, conscious human being has knowledge, and the systematic fundamental knowledge are given by Mahatmas, primarily in the Secret Doctrine. That human being will follow the highest purpose and will raise up to that purpose. And this point symbolizes this path, this following to the higher image, and it's accessible, available to our consciousness. The eternal darkness is eternal, but the ray is temporary. And today we were able to see the three key points. It's the germ point, the ray, and the Matripadma. And I'd like to dwell a little bit on the point itself. In the third shloka, we've identified that the point has the threefold nature, and it symbolizes the shloka, and it's the germ. We need to understand another comparison. The point is the channel that goes into the endless space, into the endlessness. It's not that we go from the endlessness state into an intuitive, specific, synthetic state, into a specific state that unites us, but we go through this small channel, through this point, through this point we can enter a better, a higher, a pure world, but only if we become as this world. The point is a channel going into the infinity, into the endlessness, and the point is the center and the source of life. It's a symbol of the primary creative energy. It's so concentrated that it can only be reflected by something immaterial, an opening, for example. The symbolism of the point as an extremely compressed energy is very close to modern physical and astronomical theories, by the way, about the origin of the universe. Any phenomenon begins with a point and it underlies all dimensions and generates a line. In its development, it serves as the center, and it's also the support of the cross and the circle. Being immutable and immobile, it generates movement. For example, we can see the rotation of the wheel. The point is static, but it generated this movement, and those lines, they start their movement. That's the power of the concentration. That's the power of this point. And we could compare this, the parts of the elements of the triad that was reflected by Andrei Rublev. It gives us the static form of the light of the truth, and it's unchangeable. Everything else can only move around it. And that's how periodically changing world appears. When this movement starts, the new wheel is created, and the new wheel is the symbol of the new Mahamantara. It's manifested through the totality of the souls being born. It's also the pilgrimage of the son, the prodigal one, on the wheel. It's an indication of the entire period of the next Manvantaric existence of our universe. And it means that the ray had not yet flashed into the germ and the Matripadma had not yet swollen. And accordingly, the pilgrimage of the prodigal son hadn't begun yet, as Manvantara had not begun. That is another mystical, geometric, and symbolic reflection of this thought in the third shloka. The point begins the new cycle. The main meanings of the point, as we understood, are the center and the beginning of the countdown. The primary point is the unmanifested one, forming the triple. It's the symbol of the beginning, the middle, and the end, respectively, and the three elements of the mystical syllable AUM, which together forms the letter Yod, is the beginning, the middle, and the end. We found it in the Secret Doctrine, and this Aum syllable sound, which consists of the three elements of the initial point, enables us to see the following, to have a look at the following thought. If the point is the beginning, the middle, and the end, then 1 is the beginning, 2 is the middle, and 3 is the end. As the sum, we have number 6. 1 plus 2 plus 3 is 6. 1 multiplied 2 multiplied 3 is 6 again. And if we add, we get 12, or 3. And again, we come back to number 3 with the initial point, which has the beginning, the middle, and the end. It's synthesized within itself, and it hasn't expanded yet into the outer world, but it has this fullness within, because it is the fullness, the completeness. We were able to see it using this example, 1, 2, and 3. And again, everything goes back to the concentration. The initial point is the entry and the exit point for the internal and the external movement, and it's within itself. The points and the circle tend to converge into a single point, and this point has the name. This union is the process of merging the plural into the one, and it's a deification. So let's dwell a little bit on that. When this point, which is the name, and we know that this name cannot be pronounced because it's not in the external world yet. It has its pureness. There was no differentiation. There's no reflection. There were no shadows yet. And this name is unpronounced. And this name is the God, the creator. The Russian word imя, which is name, has the hierarchy. It's the subordinates to the highest era, and it's the fourth cycle of the evolution of life in the sea, and it's reflected in our own eye. It's the highest eye, and it cannot be pronounced because when we pronounce it, it means that we reflect it in the lower plane. The point is the inevitable middle, and the unity of the central point is in contrast to the circumference of the wheel of samsara. And having escaped from the central point and pierced into the germ, the ray is drawn back to the starting point, and the germ develops into the second logos, a triangle inside the world egg. And now we can see how it all happens. Then the 7 rays emanate from the manifested logos, and then countless hierarchies occur from these rays. The abstract form of the asexual ray is the first manifestation of the emanating from the central point. As for planes of existence or planes of being, here's the ray. The ray gets into the germ, the first triad falls into the fourth state. It's the third unmanifested logos. 3 in 4, we have the third and the fourth planes, and that's how the 7 manifested rays appear. When we see the star, it's not in color yet. It becomes manifested only when 3 stages are behind us. Only then the manifestation of everything, of all the spectra, of the sound, of the color, and of the 7 rays takes place. As we said in the very beginning, at the very beginning of our presentation, we have the 24 keys. The 24 keys will be seen on the next plane of the tetragram. This is the whole nature, the origin of all the ideas, of the great ideas. So potentially it becomes reality. The material form gets the ray and it becomes the first attractix. The world egg, it's not material form, it's atom, it's like the first divine unit. The potentiality becomes reality this way, and the material form can be destroyed. The material form can be destroyed, but the atom is not destructible. It's the first divine unit. It's the center of a circle, and it doesn't have a circle. It is located everywhere, like the embryo or a germ. The germ is all the non-manifested nature or the creative force that must manifest, and the Hindus call it Brahma. Matripadma, as we understand, it's an eternal egg. It will become periodic when the ray of the first logos pierces the latent embryo in the Matripadma, which is the kind of womb of the universe. In the Secret Doctrine, we can find the definition of the word Matripadma. Ma is a symbol of water, 3 is a symbol of a triangle, and Padma is the symbol of lotus. And the idea of a triangle with a point is its reflection, and all this can be found on the lotus. There is a point in a person. This is the center of the human self, and having reached the central point, the sage reaches the heart, the calmness, the peace, and the divine presence. And it's a very interesting saying. The heart is the source of peace and of the divine presence. And if we bear with this thought, we'll start thinking based on our heart. We'll start acting based on what our hearts wants when we are at the state of peace and divine presence. The heart of God and the heart of human beings is as one. So when the sage reaches the heart, the divine presence touches the sage, and the sage becomes a master. A master is someone who's become like a small child by entering the center of a triangle inscribed in a square located in the 7, and who, through the sufferings of the soul, has achieved for himself the garment of immortality, and he must keep this garment spotless, pure, not out of fear of soiling it, but so that the dirt thrown into this garment could bounce off and didn't hit the throw didn't hit the thrower at the same time. Geometrically, this story about what the master is expresses the idea of what a teacher is, and we can find this point, and we can dwell on this thought, how all those sharp angles can be united, what combinations of figures can we have in the end. The initial point, in order to become the channel that goes into the eternity, can be small. We need to become masters, because only masters who are like children, they can get into the center of the triangle. And it's the suffering of the soul that enables us to put the garment of the eternity, of the eternal life. And the pureness of this garment is not for that person, but for others, for those who throw stones or mud or dirt into this garment. And this dirt bounces off. Any stone would bounce off this internal triangle, this pureness, which is within this triangle of the great master, however hard the stroke might be. It's the greatest purity which neutralizes this blow, and this is the main thought.
Madam Rerich asks us not to forget that there are no small things. A hand stretched out in time of great need tightens the heartstrings of a fallen spirit, attaching them to the heart of God. Therefore, we understand there are no small things, no small actions. We are all interconnected. We are all connected to each other, and each echo or reflection can bring extreme destruction as well as connection. But we always have the hope or the hand or the ray of the united existence, the white ray the string, the heart string that can always be there out, and of course it can suppress many sufferings. The physical world, it can be softened because of that, but the mission is to keep it straightened, to give us power to have this heart string, but by attaching it to the heart of the God. And the heart of the God is the 6-number significance, or the Matripadma, or the heart. That is how this transformation can correspond to swelling of Matripadma, penetration of ray into the germ, and revelation or manifestation of 3 into 4 to the bosoms of Maya. And there's one more thought that I'd like to put as a final one about this ray in this hour that has the number of 24, 6 or 3 in its concentration, about this threefoldness by such a verse. Let the hour not strike, wait without getting tired. Let the liars lie, don't condescend to them. Be able to forgive, and don't seem forgiving, more generous and wiser than others. The truth has the number of 3, and by this threefoldness, even if it's not manifested now, we have the power to wait till the truth manifests itself, knowing how to forgive and moving forward. As soon as it happens, we'll be able to become simple and available to every person, to ourselves, and every difficulty gets destroyed because of this simplicity, because this threefold nature is manifested and it's infinite. It's united then. There are no numbers, no geometry, no symbols, no planes of being. It disappears in this simplicity because the God himself is not a difficult notion. When the human being starts communicating to the heart, he becomes the God, because he talks simply. Therefore, wise men say that genius one is simple. The hour had not yet struck, the ray had not yet penetrated the embryo, the Matripadma had not yet swollen, her heart had not yet opened for the one ray to enter, thence to fall as 3 into 4 into the lap of Maya. And we have come to the fourth sloka, the next sloka of the second stanza, which we are going to discuss next time. Thank you so much for being in our connection to these thoughts. You gave this opportunity to concentrate the thought so that it manifests itself. Probably you gave any other thoughts or ideas that can be an inspiration and give us confidence in today's day and further day into tomorrow, and be in the concentration of compassion and truth. During the study of the sloka, you could ask questions. Meanwhile, you can ask them now and we'll answer live. If there are any questions we don't have any time to answer, of course, we'll answer in our further classes, Theosophical quiz, in the seminars, and in our correspondence, because it's a talk without end, because it's kind of cooperation between questions and answers. Like that, there is interconnection. So there is a question. In Sloka, it said that the germ is the combination of atoms. Atoms of what? If there was nothing yet. Could you please tell us, Mr. Yari? HPB describes it. what she means, what atom, not our material one. That is the property of the substance, not material one, the space. Atom is everywhere. Where you draw your attention, the point is there. There is the single thought. Where you focus, you can consider the point being there. If you turn around, the point is there. The same thing is happening in the space. In the question itself, we often say to give a specific answer, it's enough to look at the question. In the question, there is an answer contained. The germ is the combination of atoms, combination of properties combined in a unity. It means that there are no particular atoms. Is that so? It's not manifested one, this atom, because all properties and all combination are there inside. Only after the ray penetrates the germ, only after this manifestation starts, then the dividing properties of this single atom are manifested, and only then the atom that is responsible for the future life is there. So many cycles should pass until then the prolaya state is there, till it finishes. Thank you so much. Dear friends, thank you so much for having today's class with your help, of course, with your concentration of attention. We'll be happy to answer your questions in the social network, YouTube channel, in the video forum that is of particular interest today, which is the Theosophical quiz. Every question is the one with many parts of thinking process, because actually what we're talking about is limitless, and we can talk a lot about one notion. As HPB was saying in presentations, we often have one trajectory. We go to the tetragrammaton, and HPB was saying that the great symbol of tetragrammaton, if we describe it, then there will be tens of thousands of volumes about one single symbol. Therefore, we have a great path to go through and a great joy of what we don't know yet. We wish you power of understanding, of getting to know something, of attainment to improve ourselves, to get this knowledge, so that we apply this knowledge and finally the world becomes better. Thank you so much for your attention. And thank you for patience you've expressed in process of our seminar. Dear friends, for today, I'd like to express one more thought. On the 26th and 27th of November, we'll have the 6th International Theosophical Congress devoted to the great Russian theosophist Mr. Bakanov, the author of Kalachakra calendar. And all the Congress will be devoted to Kalachakra time. It will be the scientific symposium, stanza analysis, reports of our speakers, Russian and foreign wars, ones and scientists, which is precious material, presented at the 6th International Theosophical Congress in Nizhny Novgorod. Please analyze our materials and the videos, where you can find information about all the projects of the Congress. Of course, there are results of holding international competitions, creative competition called in the name of HPB, children's competition, user competition, etc., and the book expedition that will meet you in Nizhny Novgorod, which is the concentration of all the new esoteric editions and scientific pulp books. There are also books of Porfiryanovich Kalachakra Tantra. You can buy at the Congress. The first time it's translated in Russian. It's the great work about Kalachakra Tantra. And on the Congress on 26th and 27th of November, we'll have concentrated work. Please join us if you wish. If there are any volunteers who can help us with it, editors, translators, video editors, operators, marketing specialists, operators, video operators, editors, of course. I'm always happy to work with you all. So, my dear ones, I'd like to say that the work of the International Scientific Research Center, named after Madame Blavatsky, has started. And if you follow our news, we have our places open for the natural study, science studies, headed by Mr. Rashupkin from St. Petersburg. And soon the seminars in this division will also start. If somebody is interested in that from this point of view, and who researches the world and himself or herself from this point of view, these seminars can also be very useful. Dear friends, thank you so much for being with us today. Thank you so much to interpreters who managed today to make this inter-exchange possible with you, with our foreign participants, so that we could tell about all the research of this Sloka and move forward. Hope that in this month you'll be able to study on your own all material of the Secret Doctrine next Sloka. Of course, thanks to the Secret Doctrine and the Theosophical Glossary, key to Theosophy, protocols of Blavatsky Lodge, of books of Madame Blavatsky, including reflections on Dhyan stanzas. Of course, don't forget great Agni Yoga by Madame Rari, culmination of the teaching, describing all teachings of all enlightened ones and practical work. Of course, you should study all the books, a list of which were sent into your emails. If there is an inquiry, please text us, send us messages. We'll be happy to answer your questions. And next time we'll meet in October, 29th of October, will be the great international seminar. We'll make a research into the Sloka with our foreign speakers, with foreign scientists, with the scientific and research group. There'll be a seminar on Saturday, 3 p.m. Moscow time, while our online class devoted to the full Sloka will take place on the 17th of November. So we have great plans ahead and a system, and we should always be like that, positive and together. Wish you all the best. See you. Wish you light and love. Always in touch.
Secret Doctrine by Blavatsky. Dedicated to all true Theosophists. Book of the Third Millennium.
Blavatsky, only new.